Hi everyone, my name is Kaylee and I resell clothing and shoes on eBay and Poshmark. If you have ever been interested in Poshmark but not really sure where to start, then this video is for you. I'm going to go through how to start selling on Poshmark from absolutely $0 investment and go through how to get started, how to maintain your store, and then what to do when an item sells. So if you're interested in seeing that, then just keep watching. Okay guys, so first let's start with what is Poshmark. So Poshmark is an online selling platform that you can sell many different items on. Mainly clothing and shoes is what they are known for. You can sell used items, you can sell new items. Most of them I feel are used items. Poshmark has become really popular over the last couple of years. They compete with sites like eBay, Mercari, Grailed, different platforms like that. Some of the reasons that I like using Poshmark over other selling platforms are for several main advantages. Number one being it is a lot easier and faster to list on Poshmark than other sites. There are not as many fields to fill out, and all in all, it is a pretty simple process. Number two is it is super easy to ship your items. You don't have to learn a whole lot about shipping, and we'll get into that a little later on in the video, but super easy to ship out of all the platforms. I really think that Poshmark is the easiest when it comes to shipping. Number three is there is zero upfront cost. Upfront, there are no costs to start a store. There are no costs to list an item. And number four, it requires very little maintenance to keep your store running. The new year is upon us, and I know a lot of people are going to be cleaning out their closets. I suggest that you do the same. Find an item that you no longer wear, does not spark any joy, etc., and go grab that item, and we are going to learn how to list that item here in a little bit. So there are a few different items that you can sell on Poshmark. Mainly we're talking about clothing, shoes, accessories like jewelry, scarves, hats, things like that. We just recently added a home category, so you can also sell home decor. So if that is something that you want to start selling, then you can start with that as well. Okay, now that you've picked an item that you want to start selling, let's jump on and get your account started. So you guys can either sign up for Poshmark on the desktop, or you could download the app and do it that way. I do almost everything from Poshmark on my computer, so on a desktop. However, I also have the app downloaded. That way I can receive notifications as they come if I'm not sitting at my computer. Do it however you want, but just know that you could do it both ways. So right now I am going to start by showing you this on the desktop. So we're going to go to Poshmark.com. Super simple. You can sign up via email, Facebook, Google. I personally started with my email. So you can see some of the fields that they want here: first and last name, email, username. So it does say that you cannot change your username. However, eventually you can request to change your store name. You can only do it so many times, and you do have to send an email to get your closet name changed. So if I were you, I would really think about this. If you plan on doing it in the future as a job, really consider what you want to put in for a username, but don't let that deter you if later on you think you might want to change your closet name. A lot of people, for their username when they get started, just use a combination of their first and last name. So once you complete your registration for Poshmark, you can go in and put more details in if you want. You can see here that I don't really have a whole lot of detail in my profile. One thing that I do recommend is that you do put a profile picture on. I feel like buyers are deterred if they don't see a picture up. Maybe they don't think that you're going to be an active user on the site. So you can put a picture of your dog, you can put a picture of a flower, you can put a picture of yourself, but I would recommend putting a profile picture into your closet. So before you get started selling, I do believe that they make you put in some information where you can receive payments if a buyer pays. So make sure that you do go in and put a payment method in there. That way, when buyers purchase their item, they will be able to pay you. Once everything is complete, you should have your own closet. Poshmark is really easy and it walks you through just about everything. I'm on the desktop right now. It looks pretty similar on the app. So if you choose to go through the app, just know it is super easy on there as well. So at this point, you have an item to sell and you have your account started on Poshmark. Now we need to get started on actually listing the item, but before we do that, we need to decide how much you are going to ask for the item. You can make up a number if you want, whatever you feel it's worth, but most people are only going to purchase items at the market rate, meaning what other similar items are selling for. So in order to figure out what other items similar to yours are selling for, we can search sold comparisons on Poshmark itself, and I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. Okay, so as we jump over into Poshmark, I am on the main screen right now. You can see we are going to search by listings. So let's say that you had a short sleeve Nike women's top. So let's just search that. Short sleeve Nike women's shirt. So we have search for that, and you can see here, these are what other people have theirs available as. But we don't really want to focus on what other people have theirs available for. We want to focus on what has sold. So we're going to scroll back up to the top. You will see some filters on the left, or if you are on the app, you will click filter and then you'll have these options as well. But we want to go to sold listings. So you can see availability right here. We're going to click sold, and you can see ones that have sold most recently and get an idea of what your item would sell for. You can choose to price higher, you could choose to price lower, but just so that you have an idea of what they are going for, I would definitely stay within the market rate if you want your item to sell quickly. So at this point, we have our item ready. We know roughly how much we want to sell it for. Now it's time to list the item. Before we list the item, we want to take pictures. You can also doing this during the listing process if you want. I find it easiest to get it done beforehand. So in order to take pictures, you want to find a well-lit area and have kind of a simple background, whether it is the back of a door, maybe you want to hang it, maybe you want to lay it on a bed sheet, but somewhere with quite a bit of lighting, and natural lighting is preferred when you are starting out. So go by a window, maybe lay it on a simple solid bed sheet, anything that is going to give you a simple background. This is how most people start listing items on Poshmark. Another thing people like to do is take pictures of themselves wearing the item so buyers can know the fit. So if that is something that you are comfortable with, you could do that as well. When you're taking pictures, I would definitely recommend taking pictures of the front, the back, and then any little details in between, and also make sure to take a picture of the tag that includes the size on it. Poshmark gives you up to 8 photos, so I would recommend using as many as you can, capture as many details, and then of course, if there are any flaws on the item, stains, rips, holes, things like that, make sure to take photos of those areas so that your buyer knows exactly what they are getting. All right, so we are on the listing page, and now we need to upload our photos. So you can see it basically walks you through every single thing. So here we are going to upload some photos. I am going to select the ones on my computer. Again, you can do this on your phone and during this process if you want. I just happen to already have mine ready. So when they load, if there are any issues, you can use the editor down below each of them to rotate, to crop, to do anything like that. Just so you know, Poshmark has everything in square mode. So most phones are set as a default to take a rectangle picture. If you want to change that in your phone settings to get a perfectly square photo, I would recommend doing so. But if not, you can just crop it out when you go to upload your photos. So you can see here, mine is in the form of a rectangle. So Poshmark is going to crop my photo. I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can use some of their filters here if you like. I recommend trying to keep it as close as possible to the way the item actually looks. That way your buyer isn't expecting something different than what you have. So here I have uploaded my photos. I have dragged them to the proper place. Whichever photo you pick as your cover shot will be the one that the buyer sees when they are searching for your item. They will not see any of these pictures until they actually click into your listing. So you want to choose something that is going to properly represent your item, and usually it's just going to be at the very front of the item. So don't worry too much about how well your photos are in the beginning. Right now we're just focusing on how to list on Poshmark. So we're going to scroll down and start filling out more of these fields until we are complete. You can see here the next field is the title. This is going to be what the buyers see when they are scrolling through the feed and ultimately what is going to sell your item. So we want to make sure that we accurately describe it. So for this, I usually start with the brand name. This is a Zara sweater. So I'm going to call it a Zara black and white striped sweater top. You can get into more detail than that, but for now, I think that that's good. So we've described our item. We are going to scroll down. We have an area for a description. In this area, you could put the material, you could include measurements of your item, but for now, as a beginner, I would say just give a brief description and absolutely make sure to include the condition and if there are any flaws on the item. Next is the category. So you can see we've got women, men, kids, and home. So you want to make sure you choose the appropriate category. This is in the women's department and it is a sweater. And I'm going to call it a crew scoop neck sweater. So we'll click that. We'll say that it is a size medium. Next, it's going to ask you if the item is new with tags, and you can see that that's optional in the first place. Mine is not new with tags, so we're going to hit no. Brand, this was Zara. And then also optional are the colors. We are going to say white and black. You only get to pick two. So here is Poshmark's pricing and the final details of the item. So original price is the original price that the retailer sold it for. So unless your item is brand new with tags and has the retail value on it, you're probably not going to know what that is. In that case, you can just put 0. Next is your listing price, and this is what you want to list the item as, so how much you want to sell it for. So for your listing price, remember in this case, you would have already looked up what it was trending for via the solds, or if you just have a number in mind, you can also use that as well. In this case, we're going to say that I want to list it for $20. And from here, you can put additional details in. We're not going to worry about any of that stuff right now. For now, let's just get the item listed, and you can see all that we have to do is hit next. From here, you would hit list the item, and then your item becomes active on your Poshmark closet. So once your item is active, you can go to your Poshmark closet by clicking your profile picture and hitting my closet. Again, on the app, you can go to the same place. So here is my closet, and you can see I have several items listed, and this is how they show up to the buyers as well. One thing to keep in mind about Poshmark is that it acts like a social media feed. So for instance, when you are on Facebook, you're receiving a feed by seeing what people have recently posted as a status or shared as a picture. So Poshmark works the exact same way, and on people's feed on their app or on the desktop, they're seeing items that people most recently posted. Now, Poshmark is smart, and they will remember brands that you said that you liked, and they will suggest those in your feed. So when a buyer becomes interested in an item that they see on feed, they can then like the item and basically save it. They do this by hitting the little heart button on the screen. From there, the buyer's likes go to one safe place, which they can access on their profile and have a list of things that they have liked. The buyer can also search in the search bar for items that they are looking for and do the same thing, like the item. A buyer can also add an item to a bundle and create multiple things from your closet into one shopping cart, basically, where they can send you an offer or you can send them an offer to purchase everything all at once. So another function of Poshmark is that you can share your own items or other people can share your items for you. And this brings me to my next point, which is how to maintain your closet. So when a buyer automatically searches for an item, let's go back to the Nike top. Let's say they search for a women's size medium Nike top and they hit enter. That search feed is going to bring up the items that were most recently shared. By default, that is how buyers view items. So items that are shared recently will be the first ones seen when a buyer searches an item. They're also the first things seen when a buyer opens up the feed on Poshmark. So sharing becomes very, very important because if you want a buyer to see your item, it needs to basically be freshly shared. You can share items in your closet by clicking the little share button at the bottom right-hand corner of your item. Sharing is probably the most time-consuming thing that you'll do on Poshmark, but if you only have 1 to 10 listings, it's going to take you seconds to share your entire closet. Most people recommend sharing your entire closet 1 to 3 times a day. Again, if you've got 10 items, it's going to take you like 10 seconds to share those things. So all in all, you're spending 30 seconds a day to maintain your Poshmark closet. Doing this 3 times a day is going to ensure that your items are being looked at by buyers because they are going to remain at the top of the feed and at the top of the search when buyers search for these types of items. And before you think that you can get away with not sharing, just know that it makes it pretty impossible for a buyer to find that item in a sea of 500 Nike women's medium tops. So sharing is very important, and although it stinks to have to go in and do that, it is necessary in order to make sales on Poshmark. So at this point, you have set yourself up for success, and now you are just waiting on buyers to interact with you and possibly send you an offer or purchase your item. Buyers can send you offers by hitting the offer button and sending you less than what you originally listed it for. Because of this, some people like to list their items for $5 to $10 higher than what they are expecting to get, knowing that buyers are going to send them offers. So let's say you listed that Nike top for $20 and a buyer sends you an offer for $15, which you think is reasonable. You can go ahead and accept that offer, or you can even counter offer at $18. It's basically like any kind of site where you purchase and have an offer function. You will be notified when a buyer purchases your item, sends you an offer, or comments on your item in the news feed. At this point, you can decide what you want to do with your item and the interactions that you're getting. So you've got a few items in your store and an item has just sold. The process is pretty easy after that in order to get it shipped to the buyer. One thing I want to talk about before we get into shipping is Poshmark's fees. So some sites that you sell on are really confusing with their fees. I like Poshmark because they are very simple in how many fees they take. They do charge a fee for the items that you have that sell because you are selling on their platform and you basically don't have your own website. You're borrowing their platform to sell your item on. So I do think it's fair that they charge you a fee. Poshmark fees are very simple. For any sales under $15, they will charge you a flat rate of $2.95. So let's say you sold an item for $14. Poshmark will not give you your full $14. They will less $2.95. If you have an item that sells for more than $15, they will take a 20% off fee off of however much that item sold for. So if you sell an item for $100, you are only going to receive $80 of that. Don't worry about any of the complicated math. Poshmark takes care of everything for you. They do not debit you any money that isn't yours. So when your item sells, they automatically take out the fee, and then what you see in your balance is your money. You do not have to worry about paying them, being sent an invoice, or sending them any money for the fees that you incurred. Next, let's talk about shipping. I don't want to confuse you too much, but just know that you can also send a buyer an offer, and when you do that, you can discount their shipping. But in most cases, a buyer is going to pay the entire amount of shipping. Now, shipping is paid by the buyer when you are receiving offers, and when you are listing, you do not need to worry about putting shipping cost in there. It's already calculated in. What you put as what you want your item to sell for is how much they are paying for the item. Shipping is not included in that. So when an item sells, Poshmark makes it super, super easy to ship the item. They actually send you a label to your email, and all you have to do is print it and adhere it to the package. Now, Poshmark allows up to 5 pounds priority mail and up to so many dimensions. I will let you look and see what those dimensions are and what the restrictions are. But basically, if you're selling clothing or shoes, it's very unlikely that you are going to go over that 5 pound threshold and over the dimension limit. Poshmark has an agreement with the United States Postal Service, which they basically get to give you a label up to so much. You don't need to worry about putting in dimensions. You don't need to worry about putting in weight unless it goes over that 5 pounds or the dimensions, which, like I said, is very unlikely. So before, we were talking about how we could start our Poshmark business with no upfront costs. This includes shipping supplies. So how are you going to ship your item? You're going to need to put it in a box or a bag. You can actually get these for free from your local post office. The label that Poshmark sends you is automatically a United States Postal Service priority mail label, again, up to 5 pounds and up to so many dimensions. It just so happens that the United States Postal Service offers free shipping supplies currently for any items going through priority mail. All you need to do is walk into your post office and choose which package you would like to use. If you need some help, I'm sure the clerks would be more than willing to help you, but you can actually go pick up a couple of these supplies now for when your items ship later. You can also order these free supplies off of USPS and they will ship them to your house. One of my free favorite shipping supplies from USPS is this padded flat rate envelope. So all I need to do is walk into the post office. I've never seen them be out of them. So they're almost always available, and you can just use this. It provides good safety if there's any clasp or anything. It's got a padded inside, and most clothing pieces will fit in this. So all you need to do is put your item in here. Now at this point, you're just starting on Poshmark, so I wouldn't worry about putting thank you cards in or tissue paper or anything like that. At this point, I would only recommend maybe putting your item into a plastic bag before it goes in your mailing package. That way, if the package gets wet, the item does not get damaged. You don't even have to go out and buy these. Most of the time when I started, I put them in grocery bags that I reused from when I did my grocery shopping. So at this point, your item is sold, you've got your package ready, you have printed your shipping label. Now I realize that some people may not have a printer to print their shipping labels, and in that case, you would have to go to the library and you might have to pay a few cents in order to print that on paper. But I think nowadays most people do have a printer and paper. So at this point, all you have to do is print your shipping label, slap it onto your package, tape it on with some clear tape, and drop it off at your local post office. Since that label is already prepaid, there is nothing that you need to do besides drop it off at the post office, in which they will scan it, and that tracking information loads into Poshmark's dashboard. There is a bit of a small waiting period for you to get your money from that purchase. So Poshmark wants to make sure that you did ship the item and you shipped the item you said you were going to ship and it was in the condition that you said it was in. So once a buyer receives their package, they have a few days to rate you or say that there is an issue with the item. Most of the time, the buyer receives the package, they rate you within a couple days, and then your funds become available once Poshmark knows that the buyer is happy with their purchase. If a buyer does not leave you a rating, after so many days, your payment will automatically be released to you, and you can find it in your balance tab of your Poshmark app or on the computer. From here, you can request your payment via check or via direct deposit. I personally recommend direct deposit. Checks take a little bit longer to send out. That's it. You've sold your first item on Poshmark. From here, you would just repeat the process. Now, if you do want to turn this into a business or keep on going to make more profit, all you need to do is take the money that you profited from the item from your house and use that to buy more inventory. Most people like to go to thrift stores because it is low cost and you can go to them right away. There's clothing readily available for you to purchase to resell. And then from there, you can just keep snowballing and make more and more money and keep buying more and more inventory. So I hope that this video was helpful to you to learn how to start from nothing on Poshmark. Again, the only real cost that you might have is having to go to the library to print out a shipping label. I have personally made quite a bit of money off of Poshmark, and I am so happy that I started on that platform. It is truly one of the easiest ways to sell your unwanted clothing items. If you guys have any questions, please drop them in the comments down below. I do make videos on selling on eBay and Poshmark, so if you'd like to subscribe and be notified when I post those videos, you can learn more through them. Go ahead and hit that subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time.